Coming up on this episode of Common Denominator.
And for me, it's so important that when the difficult moment comes, you are there helping. It's not about yourself and how scary it is or how difficult it is for you, because in these toughest moments is when they really need you.
This is Common Denominator, straight-up conversations with Moshe Popak. Relying on critical thinking and open-spirited debate, we invite you to find common ground on everyday issues and encourage you to be bold, to be optimistic, and to take action. To learn more, head to moshepopak.com, and we'd be so grateful if you'd like, share, and subscribe to the show. Now, here's your host, Moshe Popak.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today, the common denominator on the courage and mental clarity it takes to save another person's life. Andrea Fuentes is the most decorated swimmer in the history of the Spanish national team, with 4 Olympic, 16 World Championship, and 16 European Championship medals. But it's what she did a few weeks ago that's most impressive. As a Team USA head coach at the World Aquatic Championships, Andrea noticed one of her swimmers was unconscious and drowning. Without hesitation, she jumped in the pool, rescued the swimmer, and helped save her life. We are honored to have Andrea on the show. Hi, Andrea. Welcome to Common Denominator.
Thank you so much.
So you're at the World Championship in Budapest, and you're coaching Anita Alvarez. She finishes her routine, and you look at her, and you see that she's sinking to the bottom of the pool. Take us to that story.
What happened is that our goal is to hold the breath as much as possible, but also fight gravity and to put our body as higher as possible above the surface. So this requires a lot of effort on your muscles and cardio while you hold your breath. So when we practice this, we hold it usually more than competition because it's the practice itself. And sometimes we have these kinds of your lips turn blue, you pass out, but it's very easy to recognize it. So you grab your teammate, you pull her out, breathe, recover, and then you keep going. That's part of our practice sometimes, not always. It happened to me once in my life and I was a swimmer, but to other people more often. But Anita is a person who has it sometimes. It was not the first time. So I can recognize it in her more easily, but it never happened in competition. And it never happens when you're alone at the pool. And that was a solo event. It was Anita alone in this huge pool, 50 meters, 25 meters on the other side. So usually you never have a single swimmer in that huge space. So that made her, because there was no teammates on the side to grab her, there was nobody. So she sank.
Are there lifeguards? Were there any lifeguards there? And why didn't they jump in the pool?
They jumped, but later than me. At the beginning, I was frustrated because of that, so I reacted against it. But now I understand. It's because one reason is because apparently there's a rule that until the referee doesn't tell you go, you cannot go as a lifeguard. So I didn't know it was this rule. I just went. Because for me, the priority is to save a person, not the judge to tell me if I can.
That's right.
It makes sense. No?
Yeah. So you jump in the pool.
Yeah.
You're going to the bottom of the pool, and she's heavy to lift out, right? From what I understand.
Yeah. Because and then I was thinking, why for people is for me it's not so big because we are used to grab people and put them up for example, in our sport, we do acrobatics, no? So we are 8 people pushing one flyer that jumps over the surface without us touching the bottom of the pool, just using the water. We lift this person almost more than 6 feet above the water, no? Wow. So we know how to push and how to pull people in the water without using the bottom. In this case, I had the bottom because I was in the bottom of the pool. So I used the bottom to go up, but it was deep, so I had to use my legs. But I am a person who understands water very well because I've been 10 hours a day for 20 years in the water, no? So more than a third of my life, literally. So I know how to pull, but anyways, it's different when you have a person with the lungs filled with air because it floats, than with water because it's very heavy. But I mean, I was like, the adrenaline was so high that I could do it. You know, when you have the moms that can lift a car if the kid
Yes,
is
I love
under
that
the car.
story.
No, so
It's a
so
real truth. It's a real truth about mothers.
yeah, I felt like I don't care if it's heavy. Like I'm gonna pull her, and I don't know how long I will take. No, that was the reaction
Yeah.
from me. So that's it. But for me, the most difficult part was to make her breathe. That was I don't know how to do it. You know, so I had to improvise. And then the lifeguards, when we arrived to the wall, they knew other things to do for her to wake up. So that was like the real job was once we got to the wall.
So she comes out of the water, and is she conscious at the time? Is Anita conscious?
No. She's completely gone and no breathing. But not only not breathing, because usually when this happens in our sport, you pull her on the surface and she breathes, or any person will breathe instantly because the body has a reaction. And when you feel no wet in your face, you breathe. That's what happens usually. So she was not doing that. So then I was very concerned because, okay, she's not breathing. That's a big problem. I mean, like huge problem because the mouth was very closed and she was not breathing, even if the heartbeat was going on. So it was like better for me in the sense of, okay, no panic, the heart is on, we just need to breathe, no? So take out the water and start breathing. I tried to wake her up in a lot of ways, like just yelling at her, like adrenaline, or moving her face, or like even like hitting, because this you have to do it to rise the adrenaline and wake up. But no, and then she was so tight in the jaw that I had to calm her down somehow with massage, and then she started throwing up the water, no? But it was, I don't know, I just like improvised in this case.
It's also, I know you said there's like some method of pinching the pinky nail to give
Yes,
sensation,
that's
right?
what the lifeguards did this in the nail, which is a thing that you do when people is gone. Then if they don't wake up, that's the real problem. But in this case, she like started because it's very painful, and then she woke up. It was like, thank you. Yeah,
That feeling when she woke up must have been incredible.
Incredible, because I was like, finally, I was at some point I was like, wow. Like, you know, when you don't have like almost any thought in your mind, like almost like, wow, what's gonna happen right now, or how we're gonna solve this? But then when she started yelling at them because it was painful, like, wow, you're like, this is painful. Then it was like, like suddenly breathing again, all of us, no, not only her.
Right. Let me ask you, those hours after she had awoken and she came back to herself, what was did she have any, you guys have any conversation? I know you guys are very close. What was the conversation like between you and her?
Honestly, I don't think she thought she was going to die. I think a lot of people thought about it, except her and myself. Because when people tell me I thought she was dead, and I was like, no, she was not dead, and I knew she was not dead because the heartbeat was there, and I never lost the faith, no? Like, I was like, she's gonna be alive. Like, that was, for me, was clear, and in herself also. But I think we're the only two people in the world who thought this. So there was never this conversation of, you saved my life, no? It was like, just why, no? Why it happened. And but she was frustrated. She was like, because the competition was not over, she didn't want to disappoint the team. She wanted to swim with them. There was still the final of the team final. So the only thing she wanted is to swim 2 days after, because the final was 2 days after. So in her head, instead of, okay, thank you, and the past, it was like, how I'm gonna swim in 2 days. Like, I want to swim.
Did she
So in
end
her
up
head was
swimming?
future, not past.
Did she end up swimming 2 days
No.
later? Oh, she didn't.
Yeah.
And how is Anita doing now?
She's at the pool right now, and She wanted to swim the next day for the final, but the organization didn't allow us, even if we really wanted, because she wanted and the team wanted, and we knew she was going to be fine because it's not the first time that happens, and because she slept the whole next day, so she was rested. But now it makes sense because we couldn't afford another time. That's not good for her mental health and for the sport in general. But we have 1 year now to solve it, and we really need an answer. It can be anything. It can be from the heart. It can be neurologist, or it can be that there's no reason. It's just like too much effort. But sometimes it happens to any other sport, no?
Just in general, have you always been this calm under pressure?
I don't think so, because I remember at the beginning to be a high performance athlete, you get used to high pressure, but you learn it also, no? I remember my first world champs as a junior, I messed up so much, and then it made me think a lot also. So I learned how to visualize myself succeeding under pressure, no? For competing, no? To compete with pressure. That was like a learning process, but it was like just visualizing how to do when you have your nerves skyrockets, how to keep the calm. It helped me a lot. One book that it's called The Peaceful Warrior, and it talks about pressure. And one of the things I remember is that when you have these butterflies in the stomach, is not the enemy. It's actually a good thing, because it's adrenaline in your body that makes you stronger, more focused, more almost, I think, that you react faster. So when I feel this sensation of butterflies that some people get scared, like I'm nervous, it's like, okay, good, because now I can be more focused. My body have hormones that make me more capable. So instead of thinking it's a negative thing, it's a good thing for you to perform better.
It's interesting the way you explain it. I had a guest that was I was talking about. He was, I guess we call him an adrenaline junkie. That he takes those butterflies, and instead of being paralyzed, you have clarity in the chaos, and then you take that adrenaline and you focus it in the present. And that's also one of my favorites. Is kind of the samurai. The samurai is kind of a master of emotions and jumping, right? You talk about warrior, right?
Exactly. For me, the samurai culture and warrior in general is something that inspires me. And also about this, because there's people who, when there's very tough things happening, they paralyze more. And about your question, if I usually do it or not, for example, I've not been lucky with my family was sick, both my father and my sister with cancer, and they now it's I don't have a trauma anymore because I work on it, but they both in 5 years difference died in my arms without being able to breathe because it was cancer in the lungs. And I remember other members in the family, they didn't want to face it or being with them, no? And for me, it's so important that when the difficult moment comes, you are there helping. It's not about yourself and how scary it is or how difficult it is for you, because you are not the one who's having a time, no? So in this case, I think it's very important to help others, because in these toughest moments is when they really need you, no? So when they were dying, so for me, my sister with 30 years old, no? So helping her to leave this world, that was real toughness, no? And I wanted to be with her at that moment. For me, it was extremely tough and hard, but it was for her, no? Like, how are you gonna live alone, no? This world. So in general, I'm there when the difficult part is there. I don't want to not face it. I want to face it, because also it's real. It's so real, this moment, that it's important to be there and not escape, no? And in this case of Anita, it's also, you have to help. I feel this call. That's all I feel.
The name of the show is called Common Denominator, and I think that the commonality that I find amongst a lot of guests and people in general. So it's divided into two groups, right? So it's when the tough, really, really tough time, and you're giving the story about your father and your sister comes, are you gonna freeze or are you gonna take action? And is that action gonna be the thing that defines you? I think that because of what you went through with your father and your sister, that created in your DNA when you saw Anita going to the bottom of the pool, that was your DNA to jump into the pool.
Yeah.
I mean, from hearing your story, that's what it is.
I think so too.
And then I know yourself, you're a 4-time Olympic medal winner, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
When, I guess as a young child, you said 20 years plus in the pool. Was that something you wanted to do just as a young child to do artistic swimming?
No. It started like any hobby, like when you're young, like 9. I was 9, and then okay, let's try this sport and let's try another one. I was doing like 5 different sports because I like sports in general, but I was getting good at this one more. And then it got serious, and then I was like, okay, from 2 days a week to every day, from every day 3 hours to 5 hours, and growing up, and then I ended up in the national team in Spain. And then it went building up for 20 years, but I never thought when I was younger that will not even be in the Olympics. No, it was like not even a thought. But then I saw the first time the Olympics, the ones at 96 in Atlanta, and the US were Olympic champions in our sport. So I got very inspired by them. And in that moment, I was like, wow, I want to go to the Olympics. But not in my head, Olympic medal, no? But with time, we're closer, I was like, oh, so I can have an Olympic medal. So I worked harder and harder. And then I got the Olympic medals. And then when I retired, the US called me to become the head coach and other countries, but I really wanted to give back to the US what they gave me as a kid, no? Because it was the team who inspired me. So I really wanted to say, okay, now I want to help you because and now the US was not so on the top. So I was like, let's see if I can bring it up again. So I feel the circle back, no?
To pay
like
it forward.
Back.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Was there one memory from the Olympic experience, your personal Olympics experience, that stands out in your mind?
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but for example, I've been in 3 Olympics, and there was the ones in the 2008 in Beijing. It's always the Russians who win because, I mean, it's another kind of school and everything, and nobody beat Russia since 2000 until now. So 22 years without losing the gold. This is huge, no? But at that point in 2008, it was the time that somebody got closer, and it was me and my duet partner. So for the first time, people was talking about maybe somebody can beat Russia, and it was very exciting. We didn't win, but super close. And anyways, for me, the silver was already a lot because it was my first Olympic medal. So it was like, whatever, it's good, no? And then I remember in the podium, the Russian swimmer told me, thank you, because it's the first time that I really appreciate the gold. And I was shocked with this comment because I was like, okay, I'm glad that you enjoy because of me. But it was also made me think a lot about how our sport is. But that's just a little detail. And then the last Olympic Games in 2012, I remember it's the first time that we had such a huge audience. It was like 20,000. For us, it's big. We're not football players. And so the crowd was crazy loud. It was super good. And we had a super difficult acrobatic that was, imagine 4 people in the water doing a square with your heads, no? And then there's on top of each head, a person doing a bridge. So you have one leg in one head, the other leg in another head, arm and arm. So you have a bridge on top of the surface, on top of 4 heads, no? And on top of that, the other 3 swimmers were throwing a flyer over this bridge, which is one of the most difficult lifts in history. So it was like almost never happening, but we wanted to take the risk. So when we did it in the Olympics, it was higher than ever. So the bridge was super high and the flyer went over the bridge. And the crowd was like, you could listen from underwater, the crowd like, wow. And that was magic because it was at the beginning. So the next 4 minutes were like just the best feeling ever. And it was the best swim as a team, super connected and very united. And it was our best swim. So I have a very good memory of my last performance. That was that one.
That's really amazing. Yeah, those memories make for your life, for your lifetime, and you want to give it back to your teammates, and it's really special.
Yes.
And I want to wish you good luck. I know it's in soon, right? It's going to be soon. You're going to have another World Championship in Japan. I want to wish you good luck, and I want to say thank you for being an inspiration, and you are a hero. How could people find out more about you, learn more about you, and follow the team on social media?
My account, I have only Instagram, Facebook also, but I almost don't go. Instagram is Andrea Fuentes, my name, Andrea Fuentes, and then 83 because it's my year of birth. And then the team account is Art Swim USA, and that's our team account. Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
To you. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye, man.
Thanks for listening to the Common Denominator podcast. Join us next week for another inspiring, impactful, and empowering conversation. To learn more about Moshe, head to MoshePopak.com. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it. And we'd be grateful if you could rate, review, and subscribe to the show.